How are you doing, folks? Well, today I'm going to get this engine into this car. Wish me luck. Oh yeah, you'd have a Beetle engine out in half an hour. Right, let's do a bit of timing then, so see how much truth is in that lie. The first mild annoyance in this process is to try and get this under here so I can get it onto the gearbox. It's awkward because I can't jack it any higher. You know, I mean, yeah, it's just awkward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the engine back onto its flywheel and do it that way. Not ideal really, but what else can I do? Alright, so I took the pad off the middle of the jack because there's a hole underneath it, and the oil temperature switch, which I think is banjaxed anyway now, is right in the middle of it. And what I will do is I'm going to use that as a locating spud to go down into the hole in the middle of the jack to stop it from falling off the jack. And then I'm going to say my prayers and I'm going to try and get it into position. It's all well and good trying to get it up into the position to slide onto the spline shaft, but when the spline shaft starts fighting me, that's going to be another fun job. The pulley on the alternator fouls the rear valance. It's very annoying. Vacuum advance module on the distributor was fouling there. Don't tell me my jack is at the end of its extension. I'm literally an inch away from it. We're this close. Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, back to the drawing board. So that method works for lifting the engine, okay, so we know that, but I need to let the engine or the car down a little bit because yeah, just because Beetles are awkward cars to work on. Okay, I'm a lot closer to the mark now, I think. I haven't got it up in the sky anymore, so now I need to try and get the engine back off the dolly and onto the jack again, get it all balanced again, and then lift it up, get the alternator past the rear valance again. I wouldn't mind, it was that close. It's so annoying. Anyway, right, now this time we are really bloody close. Okay, so the bolts are in at the bottom. The spline shaft is in the centre of the clutch, but I just need to lift up the back of the engine in order for it to slide in. sincerely hope that when the engine was put back together, that a clutch alignment tool was used. Okay, we're literally half an inch away. That's what she said last night. I think we might be on, folks. I think we might just be on. And get a couple of nuts on there. Alright. And there's a bolt that goes on the top left. I'm going to put that in now as well. Okay, so I'm tightening up the nuts underneath, and obviously everything is safe now because I know the jack is under the engine, but the what do you call it? That was a 19 socket we needed. No, 17. I couldn't fucking need it. Yeah, there's two nuts on. So the engine's not going to fall out at this stage. Okay, so 3 of the 4 bolts for the engine are now in. So that means I can take the jack out. That was a hell of a struggle, folks, I'm going to be honest with you. It is a 2-person job really, but as I said, I didn't have a second person, so I had to do it on my own. Now, just make sure there's nothing in the intakes. Because I'm going to bump it over on the starter and make sure that everything is alright. There is oil in it. It does seem free to rotate. There's nothing in the intakes. Spark plugs aren't connected, so there's no coil on it anyway for that matter, so it's not going to do anything. But yeah, let's give it a go. Okay, you guys keep an eye here. I'm literally just going to spin it over quickly, make sure everything is engaged and working the way it should with respect to the engine and gearbox interface basically. But I'm not going to spin it over. Obviously I'm not even going to try and start it. All right, that sounded fairly good. So, yeah, tell you what I'll do. I'm going to put the microphone beside the engine so you guys can hear it properly. Now I'm starting to get excited, folks, I'm going to be honest with you. Right, so next thing to do is to put some fuel lines in and put the carbs on, because I do actually want to try and get a run out of this today. Okay, I spent like the last 45 minutes fluting around with the accelerator cable trying to fit it. That was great fun altogether. I could have done without that. But anyway, the accelerator cable is now in and will do the trick nicely. I didn't want to skip by it and put the carbs in first, because when the carbs are in, it blocks access to a lot of things. I'll just show you one thing, for example. There's a D-shaped bolt that goes through the starting motor and into the back of the engine behind the fan shroud there. And if you try and get the bolt to stay put while you put the nut on it, Now that would normally be an awful faff, but because I have the access panels inside the inner wings, I was able to push the bolt through and put my arm through the hole here and fit the nut. So it was actually quite straightforward, which was nice. So anyway, at least that's that done. But the next thing to do now is to get the carbs on, so let's get that done. Okay, so I fully expect this is going to be an awful faff trying to get the carbs on, but the access holes, as I said, will make things an awful lot easier. So this is the carb for the left hand side, twin throat for your pleasure. I'll go in here. Obviously there's going to be a lot of tidying up to do after the job is done, but I'll probably do a lot of that off camera because it doesn't make for very interesting viewing, in my opinion anyway. It's certainly awkward, but it's a hell of a lot easier than it used to be. Okay, so I have a start on that one now. I'll get the one on the other side now. This is one of the reasons why I was leaving the rear lights out for a while as well, because access is a lot easier when you can reach your hand in through the inner wing like that. 13mm socket and an extension wherever that's gone. For things like this, a knuckle socket is a very handy yoke to have, but I don't have one. But what I do have is I have an extension with a little kind of a, if you pull the socket halfway off, it allows it to move around like that, which is very handy actually for things like that. Tang sockets have that, well, some of them do anyway. So yeah, so that's carb number 1 on. So next thing to do is put carb number 2 on. I have to say, with this new fan shroud, the access is so much better, because the other fan shroud just took up much more space. And this one looks nicer as well, if I do say so myself. My good lady wife brought me out a cup of coffee and a little snack bar, so very much appreciated at this point in time. I'm just going to take a small break now. And we're back. So, second carb going on. Oh, don't go in there, you bastard. Ah, yeah. Second carb coming back off again. The nut for it went between the tinware and the fucking head, so I have to try and root that out now. That's going to be great crack. Magnetic pickup tool, hopefully, for the win. Come on. Sticks to everything except what you want it to. There we go. Now, try that again. There we go. So that's the 2 carburetors installed. So now I'm just going to put the linkage on next. There's 4 nylock nuts just holding on the top plate of the carburetor. Well, it's actually the bottom plate for the air filter, in fact, but that is responsible for keeping the linkage in place as well. So what we need to do is take our tape off that was keeping the springs in place. I can go over there. Sort out the wiring afterwards. It's kind of in the way, but it won't be forever. And now okay, I kind of need to sort out the wiring now. Careful not to drop the nut down the throat of the carburetor, because that would displease me greatly. Okay, so we have the carbs fitted, we have the linkage fitted, coil is fitted, fuel lines, there's the fuel pump. Obviously the rest of the fuel lines aren't installed in the car yet. I've no exhaust on it yet, but I kind of want to hear it without the exhaust, because this is going to sound like an absolute antichrist. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I have a fuel tank out of a lawnmower here, which I'm going to put up there and fill it with petrol. let the fuel tank do its thing, let the fuel pump do its thing, and yeah, let's see if it starts. I'm kind of nervous, to be honest with you. This is going to be a talking point around the neighbourhood now. Might frighten a few of the seagulls as well. I'm like 30 miles inland and there's seagulls. I don't get it at all. Right, now, petrol. That's all the petrol I have, so it'll have to do. Okay, now, I literally haven't got the alternator belt on, so I can't run it for very long because it'll overheat. But that crocodile clip there, if anything goes wrong, I just need to pull that off. That's basically supplying the coil and the fuel pump. So what I need to do now is I need to just connect the battery, and that will get the fuel pump working. Make sure I got the polarity of the fuel pump right and it's not blowing bubbles in the tank. That's sucking it in all right. Okay. The moment of truth is upon us. Let's see how this goes. So, give it a fighting chance. And I am actually turning the key to start it. Why do I get the distinct impression I have the firing order wrong? I need to check that. Okay, so there's one. So the next one should be 4. And it is. And 3. And then 2. Yeah. Just double check in case I'm doing some. No, the distributor does rotate clockwise as viewed from the top, as I kind of thought. Could be just that the timing is out so far. So let's just try it again. We need to get it a little bit closer to the mark than that. I'm going to put the alternator belt on anyway, because apart from anything else, it makes it a lot easier to turn the engine over, because you can kind of pull on the belt. So we'll do that. This isn't the pulley off my engine. I actually do have another one. Alright, our timing is miles out, okay, so this is just not, we're at nothing here, okay. So the first thing I need to do is I need to set the timing to a baseline setting, and then we can kind of set it to 32 degrees max advance after that. Alright, so that's 7.5 degrees before top dead center. I don't know which compression stroke, which one is on the compression stroke, but alright, so now that should be number 3 firing. Alright, so that there is 7.5 degrees before top dead center on the firing stroke of number 3. So if I'm right, we should be a bit closer to the mark. And as I said, then we can set the time beforehand. The distributor got disturbed when we were putting the engine in. It just got turned because if you remember, the vacuum advance can got fouled. So anyway, let's try it out now and see how we get on. Okay, we are definitely closer to the mark. Let's try that again. Oh my God, goosebumps. Oh yes. Obviously, I'm not going to be running it without an exhaust, but holy shit. Right, I'm going to take the radio mic off. Yes. Oh Jesus, that's hot. I have to say, folks, I'm delighted with that now. That is definitely a big motivating factor for me now. But there is lots more to do, but that's going to make it all worthwhile, if nothing else. That engine is going to be an absolute demon. So yeah, I tell you one thing, it's the fact that I could trust the engine builder to do a good job and to turn out a quality product. Yeah, it'll make it worthwhile, and I can do good work myself when I put my mind to it, I think. But better not run it too long without the exhaust on. That rear valance is getting pretty hot. So yeah, I do have an exhaust for it, which will make it nice. It'll make it sound nice. It's not going to sound like that all the time, obviously, but it'll be nice. It'll be throaty. It'll have a good sound to it. So yeah, I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there, folks, because I want to leave on a high. So yeah, look, thanks very much for joining me. We're definitely at a milestone now. So there is the next thing to do is I'm going to put the exhaust on. I'm going to find out why the power supply to the coil isn't there. For some reason there's no power supply, and I'm going to tidy up the engine, just do a few little bits of straightening out that need to be done, just to kind of make sure everything's 100% on it. And yeah, then it'll be the engine can be signed off, basically, let's just say, and we can get onto stuff like the brakes and steering. And then once we have the brakes and steering, I put the driver's seat in, I can actually take it for a drive. So yeah, Look, thanks very much for watching, folks, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to keep updated with my progress on this 1974 1303, and I'll chat to you in a future video. Talk to you soon. What do you think, mister?
Vroom.
Yeah, vroom vroom, absolutely.
Vroom. Don't begin.
What's that? What car is that? What car is that?
Beetle.
Very good.